couple months ago, I was blessed to get the call to work on the new Billie Eilish album, Hit Me Hard and Soft. Honestly, a dream come true working with Aaron Forbes and John Castelli. We were able to use a lot of the tools that iZotope has blessed us with, including RX, really making sure that the album not only translated great here in the studio, but also on streaming platforms. Clients come to us to make sure that what they hear in the studio, what they hear in their car tests, what they hear in their Apple AirPod headphones is going to be what all the fans are going to experience on release day. We, as mastering engineers, have really had to dive into what processes, what codecs, what things are applied to our masters so that there are no surprises on release day. My name is Dale Becker, and we're in Pasadena, California at Becker Mastering. I'm one of the senior mastering engineers here, and I work alongside my dad, Bernie Becker. We've had the privilege to work with a lot of great artists over the years, artists like SZA on SOS, the Atmos Master for Harry Styles' Harry's House, Khalid, Free Spirit, which had the hit single Talk, even Doja Cat, Paint the Town Red. Technology has completely reshaped the way we master. In the early days of streaming services just took whatever they could have and throw them up online. So there wasn't really a lot of thought to what was going up to iTunes, to Spotify, to Tidal. But as streaming has progressed, we've really had to dive in specifically fine-tuning masters for streaming platforms, especially when it comes to volume and overall EQ presentation. Artists have a ton of anxiety about how their music is going to translate on release day. We have the question of what it's going to sound like. How loud is it going to be? And it's really amazing that iZotope has provided us with this new set of tools in RX, Streaming Preview and Loudness Optimize, to truly demystify what we're going to hear on release day. Our projects start in RX and they finish in RX. When we get files for intake from clients, they're checked in RX, they're sample rate converted sometimes in RX, they are refined and edited in RX, they can even attenuate frequencies. Alongside your typical waveform that you'd get in any DAW, you get this beautiful spectrogram to where you can visualize exactly what you're hearing. And you're able to edit and manipulate in ways you could never do in a traditional DAW. As far as quality control on the back end, every single one of our masters, as soon as it's out of PureMix, hits RX for our final quality control. We check our sample peak, we check our true peak, we check our integrated loudness, we check our top and tail fades. We listen through because we know that the audio quality, the representation of the master is second to none. I'm very slow to adopt any new technology, any new tools, but when it came to RX, Loudness Optimize, and Streaming Preview, I had to jump at the chance to use it on this new Billie Eilish album because I wanted this album to sound great streaming. So right in the middle of working on this album, the biggest album of my life, just so happened I got a call, well, several missed calls and several texts from my friend Jeff Ellis, who was like, hey, you need to meet this guy from iZotope. They have a new tool set that streamlines the whole streaming loudness, streaming preview process. Got on an email with my new friend Bill, and he walked me through this new tool set that really allows us to have clarity on what our music will sound like, both sonically and in volume on Spotify. There were some new revelations that weren't on my radar whatsoever that are going to be bombshells in this new RX release. So the last thing that me and my clients want on release day is some huge surprise in sound quality or volume on streaming platforms. RX 11 makes it no longer a mystery how your songs are going to sound on release day. It actually makes it pretty simple. So let's open up RX and take a look. Today we're working with a song called Safe House from the band Aviations. As you can see here, we have the 16-bit wave file straight out of our DAW. We're going to open up the streaming preview module, and what you'll find in the presets is all of the major streaming platforms, so you just select the one of your choice. Today we're going to use the Spotify very high quality preset, and all I need to do is then select render. Once the file is rendered, we'll have an exact representation of how this master is going to sound on Spotify. There's a lot of confusion out there on what streaming services actually do to audio when they stream to us. RX11 takes all the mystery out of it. Some streaming services are lossless. Other streaming services apply codecs to keep data rates low. And when normalization is applied, streaming services turn down music, whether singles or albums, to a pre-designated level. Now with the click of a button, you can apply both the codec and the normalization to your audio and hear how it's going to sound once streaming. When we listen generally on Spotify, even though songs are playing back technically at the -14 LUFS loudness, we do find that some songs do sound louder and other songs sound softer. When I listen to the song Safe House and reference it against my known references on Spotify, I'm finding that Safe House is actually playing back quieter than my references. As a mastering engineer, I am super interested in these unexpected differences. You have two songs that are -14 LUFS, but there's a difference in apparent volume. The new tool set in RX11 helps me understand why these differences occur. So let's open up this example. I have this file here that is 4 seconds of quiet pink noise followed by 4 seconds of loud pink noise. What I'm going to do is open up another copy of this file, and on the soft section, I'm going to turn up the soft section 1 dB. Now, when we go back and forth, there's nothing really interesting happening. All you can see is that the softer section gets a little bit louder. But where it gets interesting is what happens when we open up the waveform statistics window in RX. As you can see, the unaffected file is reading an integrated loudness of -8.7 LUFS. When we open up the file in which I turned up the soft section, now the integrated loudness is -11.3. It's reading -2.6 dB softer, even though I turned up the soft section. Now, that's crazy, right? Some might think that this is a bug in RX or something. But actually, this is a very important part about how loudness is measured for streaming services. And that is where our Loudness Optimize module comes in. So let's open up this Loudness Optimize module. The first thing you'll see is this dotted line here, and that represents a gate. Any audio that falls below that line will not be included in the LUFS measurement. Anything above will be included. As you can see, this file is only 50% measured, leading to a -8.67 integrated LUFS. Now, when we compare that to the file in which we turned up the soft section, you can see that the soft section audio now is above the gate and now gets included. This leads to a 2.6 dB difference in what this file would play back on Spotify. Now, this example is just noise, but the same effects can happen to our music. Let's return to our song Safe House by Aviations. Now we can see this song has a lot of really nice natural dynamics. That being said, parts of the intro, the outro, and the bridge are falling below the gate, meaning that they are not contributing to the overall integrated LUFS measurement. There's a couple ways we could address this. We could use this information and manipulate the audio in our DAW. We could also do that right within RX with the gain module. But what's really cool about Loudness Optimize is it has an upward compressor built right in that allows us to lift the soft sections while leaving the loud sections untouched. So we have 4 straightforward controls when it comes to the upward compressor. We have the max amount of boost that we're going to apply, the threshold at which the boost is applied, a ratio, and the speed at which the boost is applied. Now we could dial this all in by hand, but we could also use this super powerful new learn function. Now when I press learn, it's cycling through a bunch of different combinations of boost and threshold to find out what most optimizes our LUFS. So as you can see, the learn function came up with these settings. 4.3 dB of boost with a -8.1 threshold. Let's see what these settings do. So we're going from a minus 8.21 LUFS to, wow, a minus 8.71 LUFS. We went from 86% of the song measured to almost 100%. That means when we loudness optimize this file, it's going to result in a half dB more volume on Spotify, which is huge. What's also great about this is that even though we've applied these settings, our loud portions of the song have remained untouched. As you can see if we open up the waveform statistics window, our sample peak, our true peak, remain unaffected even after loudness optimization is processed. But the most important thing, of course, is how the file sounds. So let's use the streaming preview module now on both the loudness optimized and the non-loudness optimized versions and compare and contrast and see what we hear. So the first thing I notice is that the loudness optimized version is obviously louder. But even more important than it being louder overall, the beginning of the song in the non-loudness optimized version is coming in at about minus 25.4 LUFS. When we go to the loudness optimized version, we're getting a full 3 dB extra level at the top of the song. In today's playlist-driven world, 3 dB at the top of the song can be the difference between someone pressing skip or someone listening to the song. When we compare the loud sections, I just feel more immediacy and more closeness to the audio on the loudness optimized version. Even though the limiting and the compression that I had on the master is intact, loudness optimized helps the listener feel closer to the music. In the same way that not every song that we work on needs to be declicked in RX or edited in RX, it's the same way with loudness optimized. Not every single song you work on will benefit from optimization. If I opened up Legend by the band Aviations on the same album, we can see this song is much less dynamic. Let's open up the loudness optimized module to take a peek. As you can see, this song is 100% measured with a minus 6.9 integrated LUFS. Well, the learn function is smart enough to tell us that no additional processing is recommended. And it's letting us know that our audio's loudness is already fully optimized. Well, that's all the time we have for today, but I gotta mention, these aren't the only features available in RX11. We have new features that I'm super excited about, most of which is the MS mode for editing. This is gonna be a go-to mode for me for editing sibilants, for declicking things in the sides, all sorts of things can happen. And I'm extremely excited about this new feature. I hope you enjoyed our time together, and I hope seeing these new features allow you to release your music with more confidence using RX11.